Well, I stalled as long as I could, and I suppose it's time we gotta talk about him. Today we will discuss Roboute Guilliman. I'll make no bones about it, I'm not a big fan of the Boy Scout. This may be upsetting to some, as he's quite the fan favorite, but it's not my fault you picked your dude like you were concerned about cholesterol. Alright, you were shown 18 different kinds of cereal, and you still went with unflavored Cheerios. Roboute exists for people who feel butter on their toast is too experimental of a culinary exploit. Learning about this man is like sitting in math class watching the other kids play outside. In any case, I still had to do it for you guys, so strap in and prepare for a story equal to waiting in line at the DMV. When Robbie was flung from the gene laboratories of Terra and cast into the stars, he crash-landed on Macragge. If you need a mental image of Macragge, think ancient Rome, but it's an entire planet that's made massive technological leaps and bounds. Robbie was then adopted by the governor of the most wealthy district of Macragge, Connor Guilliman. Through his enhanced maturation, he quickly consumed all knowledge presented before him, and he soon knew all Macragge had to offer, pretty much making all of his old masters pale in comparison to him. Since he was now smarter than all of his teachers, he wanted to prove himself in a different field: war. He studied the art of the battle until he became of age and was granted some soldiers to go fight barbarians. He expeditiously brought the savages into line, only to return to a city on fire. You see, while Robbie was gone, some pricks decided they were going to bring Macragge back to the good old days of subservience and feudal lords. So naturally, the next decision they made was killing Connor, the guy who made sure everyone wasn't in abject poverty. Anyway, Conrad dies, the city burns, Robbie rushes in to hear his father's dying breaths, and begins to go on a tear. Everyone responsible was either executed in the town square or sent to a forced labor camp where they died soon after. Honestly, that reaction feels completely reasonable, not even being sarcastic here. Props to Gilly for this exploit. He then goes on to build Macragge and the planets surrounding it into a massively successful empire. When the Emperor found him, he was pretty much the perfect tool, so Big E was plenty happy. Robbie was already doing what the Emperor intended to use him for in regard to creating an empire, so this was going to go great. Upon giving Robbie control over the 8th Legion, they too were elated to see what's become of their dad this whole time. Really, most of Robbie's story is, and then he did the right thing, and people cheered. Which is why I tag him as boring, not necessarily shitty like Lorgar and Mortarion. In case you think they're catching strays, don't worry. When it's time for their video, I'll shoot him right in the face. The guy has no struggles unless he's fighting his brothers, and then he gets treated like a broke-dick dog until his plot armor shows up. If you go head-to-head in a standard war, you're not winning, that's out of the question. But if you're immediately related to him and start punching him in the face, you're actually probably going to win. With that being said, let's fast forward to the betrayal of Horus and the start of the Civil War, because up until this point, Robbie was pretty much playing wars like Magnus Carlsen plays chess. Now, when the war kicked off, Robbie and his Ultramarines were sent to Calth, unaware that Lorgar's word-bearers were sent to ambush them. Now, when I see a fight between Robbie and Lorgar, I root for Robbie because fuck anything Lorgar-centric. You know what? Hold this thought. The proper response to Lorgar's birth was infanticide. Okay, where were we? Yes. You know what? Actually, I've thought it over further. I can be happy that both sides had losses here, so maybe it's not that bad after all. Anyway, the struggle of Calth saw the planet becoming unlivable, but the word-bearers ran away. Problem being, they ran away to Robbie's star system and started killing. Robbie would finally catch up to the word-bearers that had been joined by Angron's World Eaters at Nuceria. Here's the thing about Nuceria. I have no problem with what Angron did to it because of what it did to Angron. We're saving that for his video, but understand each and every last person deserved to burn with that planet. Now, when Robbie showed up to Nuceria, he was met with a blockade. To make a long story short, he destroyed Lorgar's flagship, which is about as close to a complete decimation of forces as you can get as far as space battles go. Then he initiates a fight with Lorgar upon the surface of the planet. And this fight was sad. He fought to a standstill with Lorgar. Fucking Lorgar. His big moment of revenge, and Lorgar can fend it off. Roboute Guilliman could not fight his way out of a wet paper bag. Anyway, these bums are both interrupted by Angron exploding his way through a wall of Ultramarines, and he takes over fighting Robbie. Angron then beats his holier-than-thou brother within inches of his life, and only stops when Lorgar hits him with a god beam. As Robbie's getting dragged away by his men, Angron is going Super Saiyan and transforming into a demon prince of Khorne. Angron then finishes purging the planet of all life, and that's all you need to know about that for now. Now we get to talk about Imperium Secundus. Robbie didn't know what became of his dad's empire, so he made his own. He had some wizards throw up a beacon for any of his lost brothers to see, and ended up getting two. The Lion and Sanguinius, pretty much the best two brothers you could stumble upon, found their way to Robbie's. Sanguinius was made the mayor, the Lion became chief of police, and Robbie kept handling spreadsheets, but on, like, an intergalactic scale. Things were too good to be true, of course, as Conrad Kurz also found his way to Macragge. And Vulcan showed up, too. Conrad tried to kill Roboute's Guilliman, started a rebellion, and then turned a lot of people into modern art displays. Roboute and the Lion chased him down, got blown up, and then got teleported to safety. Then the Lion said, "Hey, I think he's down in that shanty town, so let's blow the entire city up." To which Robbie responded, "Yeah, okay, how about, I'm not trying to shoot you down here, but how about we not kill our fucking dudes?" Eventually, the Lion would track down Conrad and blow his back out. No, not that way, you sick freak. And then he'd bring Conrad to trial, because apparently we need a trial for a guy with a human skin loincloth. Conrad revealed that the Lion did actually blow up a few city blocks, then Guilliman got mad because, well, obviously he got mad, why wouldn't you? And then the Lion just tried to murder Conrad in the middle of the trial because, yes, yeah, so what, I broke your spine, but how dare you tell the truth? Eventually, through this, they found out that Dad was alive, disbanded their mini-empire, and went on to beat a planet full of demons named Davin to death. Like, beat the demons and then the planet itself. The planet's gone now. It's just like floating rocks in space. Which technically all planets are, but this one, it's smaller rocks. It's broken. The planet's broken. Alright, you get it. Also, Davin was the planet's name. There wasn't just a bunch of demons all named Davin on the planet. And I think there was a demon named, like, Madonna or some shit, but Sanguinius stabbed it to death. So that's put to bed. When they broke the planet, it opened a way to the big fight at Terra, but it was very heavily guarded. Robbie and the Lion, the more I say it, the more it sounds like a children's book, Robbie and the Lion stayed back to fight while Sanguinius pressed through. Shooting to the future, Guilliman showed up late to the party, and the Empire was in complete disarray following the death of its Emperor. If you're confused, Horus and the Emperor had both died, but the Emperor technically won because Horus died first and a couple other stipulations. Robbie looked at this empty position of leadership and thought, fuck it, I've been playing Sid Meier's Civilization IRL the last few centuries, I got this. And to be honest, he kinda did. Robbie is superb at organization, and he exemplified this by introducing the Codex Astartes. It's pretty much a rule book that all Space Marines have to follow, and it's predicated upon their management. The biggest impact being the breakdown of legions into much smaller chapters so another civil war couldn't break out. Moving on from the Civil War's conclusion, Robbie met a robot named Belisarius Call and told it to figure out how to make better Space Marines. He also told it to find a way to revive him if he dies because he sucks shit at fighting and probably will. This will be important soon. The weird horny snake demon Primarch Fulgrim slit Robbie's throat and killed him. I told you it would be important. 10,000 some odd years later, he was revived by some space elves and Belisarius Call to defend the Empire. As of this moment, there's a guy named Abaddon the Bedwetter. He's going to be in Horus's video probably, or maybe he even gets his own because he's kind of important. He was pretty much being a very aggressive Jehovah's Witness, trying to knock down everyone's door and spread chaos to the galaxy. Currently, he's probably head honcho as far as the Empire's enemies go, either him or Spacebugs. It took him 13 tries to do war good once, so he can be kind of put to the side for now. Oh, and Call did finish making those Supermarines, by the way, and they're pretty good. We want more of those. Those Primaris Space Marines, they're called. They're very, very good. Other than that, he got a life-altering assist fighting Magnus and fought Mortarion to a stalemate, but once again, outsmarted them militaristically. It's like watching the end of a Supernatural episode every time with this guy. Every single fight, he's just stalling until someone can actually kill the thing attacking him. I'm no writer, but either have the genius sit on his couch and command his troops, or let him kill a demon Primarch or something, 'cause he is starving out here. The poor guy can't even whip cream with an off-board motor, for God's sake. Yeah, so that's Roboute Guilliman, an absolute organizational and militaristic savant in between working on karate in his garage and winning arguments in the shower. I don't have any delusions that this is going to garner an overwhelmingly positive response from certain die-hard fans, and I can understand why they might not like it. He's the favorite of the masses who want their basic, unproblematic hero character. I simply see him as a pompous jackwad who's never had a real struggle in comparison to any of his brothers. Hell, the guy can't even be allowed to die. But putting that aside, he's the demigod of politics and PowerPoint presentations. This reaction was predictable. If you love the guy and you're upset that I disparaged him, try to put the tiniest dash of salt into your otherwise unseasoned spaghetti noodles the next time you have them. It'll change your life. Don't do something crazy like pepper, though. That'll probably cause a sensory overload and put you into a fucking coma. Anyway, if you enjoyed this, feel free to take a look at the other Primarch videos. They're not all this sour. The playlist should be up in one of these corners. If you'd like to vote on the final four and future polls, hop into the Discord server in the channel info. Otherwise, thank you for watching, even if you were annoyed, and have a good night.